It is NZ Dreamer here, and today I want to talk about a dream that I had in 2022. Now, this dream that I had is about how Gnosticism is occultism. I apologize for the camera angle. I'm having issues with my phone. My phone's being kind of weird, so bear with me about the weird camera angle. I apologize for that. But to get into the dream, basically what happened was that me and my friend were walking across the road in this place that looked like it was in Egypt or it was in Mexico or something. There were all these adobe houses. We were walking towards this adobe house. And basically my friend was coming with me to visit my uncle and my grandpa to learn about Gnosticism. Basically my friend really wanted to learn about Gnosticism and learn about what Gnosticism is. He wanted to know about Gnosticism so he could presumably become a Gnostic. And it's very weird because my friend is not actually religious in real life. We don't really talk anymore, but he's not religious. He's a staunch atheist. Now, to get to the rest of the dream, we enter the adobe house. It was an adobe house similar to the kind of houses you would see in Star Wars or something like that, like Luke Skywalker's house. And we went into the house, and it was a very open plan house. It had lots of purple, blue banners and carpets, and we had a living room where Grandpa was sleeping on. And next to it, after you go through another room, there's this weird, dark, altar ritual room, which is very dark. It has candles, kind of blue banners around, and yeah. So basically, we were going through that, and then we went to my uncle and asked my uncle how my friend could learn about Gnosticism, and my uncle he tried to wake up my grandpa who was sleeping on the couch. My grandpa was sleeping on the couch on his backside, his the front of him was at the back of the couch, and his back was facing towards everyone else. And he tried to wake up my grandpa, and my grandpa didn't budge. I think it was touching him or something. He tried to wake him up a second time, then he wouldn't budge. And then he tried to wake him up a third time, I don't remember if he did it a third time, but after the second or third time, I told him to stop doing it because my grandpa didn't want to be disturbed. Now, in the dream, I had a feeling that this was some kind of metaphor for death or spiritual death, spiritual darkness or something like that. I'll explain that more later in the video. Now, after that, me and my uncle, we went into the other room, the ritual room that I talked about earlier, and I asked him how I could learn about Gnosticism because my friend wanted to learn Gnosticism. And he told me that if I wanted to learn about Gnosticism, I should read the Gnostic Lexicon. He said something like, if you want to learn about Gnosticism, you should read the Gnostic Lexicon. And then the dream ended. And after I woke up, I had these words flashing in my mind saying, Gnosticism is occultism. And that was a dream. So what I think this dream means is I think that it means that Gnosticism is occultism. Now, and it also means that my uncle's an occultist. It was trying to show me that my uncle was an occultist and that I should be careful about my uncle and stuff like that. Now, this uncle that I have was someone that my auntie worked with. He's not actually my uncle. He's just with my auntie, so I refer to him as my uncle for simplicity's sake. And basically, my uncle worked with my auntie, and they got together after some things happened. And yeah, and since my uncle was with my auntie, he has a relationship with my grandfather. My grandfather, he lives in a retirement home. He's not really doing the best in life. He's not very happy with his life. So I think what that part means is that my uncle's an occultist. I think this dream was trying to warn me that my uncle was an occultist and he was into Gnosticism. Now, for Gnosticism, this dream is telling me that Gnosticism is occultism, and Gnosticism is occultism. If you look into it, every single Gnostic sect that exists today exists because of Aleister Crowley. There's only one Gnostic sect that doesn't exist because of Aleister Crowley. And Aleister Crowley founded the Fellow religion. He was called Britain's wickedest man. He was an occultist. He was into black magic. He was basically an open Satanist. If you look into like Aleister Crowley, there was like this demon that he summoned called, I think, Iowas or Lamb. I don't remember which one it was, but if you look at it, he looks just like a gray alien. Like, he looks really similar to like a gray alien. And if you look into gray aliens and like what they actually are, well, they're demons. You know, gray aliens, man, they're not actually like aliens. They're not dudes from other planets. They're dudes. They're what we call demons. But thanks to the modern media, sci-fi media, like the news, we think that the aliens. But no, these dudes are demons. So it's like, if Gnosticism is connected to all that, but how can Gnosticism not be occultism? And it's like, for anyone who doesn't know what Gnosticism is, it is basically a religion that teaches that the God of the Old Testament, Yahweh, or Yahuwah, or Jehovah, or Jehovah, or I don't know, Yahweh, Elohim, El Elyon, whatever you want to call him, is basically like Satan. They basically teach that Yahweh's Satan, and they teach that like he's the villain of the Old Testament, and that he's like a really bad person, and stuff like that. And they teach that Jesus was a good guy who was like freeing us from Yahweh. So it's like, basically, he's like, he's teaching that Jesus is some guy who's trying to free us from Yahweh so we can do whatever we want, something. Basically, it's like, if you look into Hinduism or Buddhism, basically the goal of Gnosticism is the same goal as Hinduism and Buddhism, except it's not explained as well. So, yeah. So, basically, it's like Gnosticism. It was a very obscure, it was a Christian sect that existed during early Christianity, but it ceased to be, for the most part, for quite a long time, due to the Roman hijack of Christianity and the invention of Catholicism and Orthodoxy, which was called the Nicene Church back then. It was called Nicene Christianity. And after that, in the Middle Ages, the Gnostics were the Cathars, and some people say that the Gnostics were the Knights Templar. Now, I don't know if the Gnostics were the Knights Templars, but if they were, then that means that Gnosticism founded Freemasonry, because the Freemasons founded the Knights Templars. Well, I mean, the Knights Templars founded Freemasonry. The Freemasons were the ones who founded the British Empire and the United States of America, and they hijacked like most governments in Europe, and they started the French Revolution and stuff like that. So basically, if that's true, then Gnosticism is the reason why we live in the world we live in today, and why we're going to have a world government someday, because we are going to have a world government someday. You need to prepare for that. But, yeah, and it's like, if you look into it, Simon the Magus was considered to be the first Gnostic, and the first Gnostics to ever exist were called the Simonians. And Simon the Magus was a sorcerer in the New Testament who conjured spirits. He tried to like offer money to give up spiritual gifts, and he did all sorts of other things. And the apocryphal text in the Acts of Peter, which I plan to read, he was in battle with Peter and Paul, and he basically got lifted up to heaven by a bunch of demons and fallen angels, just like Elijah or Enoch, except he was evil. And something that's interesting is that Muhammad got lifted into heaven by a flying horse, but it's like, maybe he was being lifted into heaven by a bunch of demons. You never know. But basically, it's like there's all these occult figures that were Gnostics, and there all these evil people that were considered to be Gnostics. So it's very likely that the idea of Gnosticism was a cult. So Gnosticism is occultism, and I believe the reason why I was given the stream was because lots of people are going to become deceived by Gnosticism. It's like people are leaving Christianity, they're leaving Islam, they're leaving these religions that control them, and they don't know where to look. They don't really have any guidance. But So they start to look around. And some people, they get into the New Age religion. Other people get into other religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, or Islam, and other people get into Gnosticism. So what's going on is I think that people are going to get into Gnosticism, and I guess maybe the masses of Illuminati and Freemasons are going to push Gnosticism. And if for nothing else, it's going to help people connect the dots. Because if you figure out what all these Gnostic people have in common in history, you can kind of figure out where the Illuminati and the Freemasons came from. Like, I believe it's possible that Simon the Magus was the first Illuminati member. And the Illuminati, like the historical Illuminati, actually came from the Freemasons. Like, Adam Weishaupt was a Freemason. Well, he wasn't actually a Freemason. I think he was a Jesuit, but he based his order off of Freemasonry. So, yeah, it's likely that the Illuminati, when they got disbanded, they became the Freemasons, and then they became the Illuminati we know about today. So, yeah, that's the thing. It's Gnosticism, occultism, and the New Age religion was was based off of Gnosticism. So, if you're watching this, you shouldn't follow Gnosticism. If you want to get into like religions that are similar to Gnosticism, you should look at Hinduism, Buddhism. Now, there's nothing wrong with reading these Gnostic texts. There's nothing wrong with reading these like other texts. You just shouldn't follow Gnosticism because it's an occult religion, and it's a religion that's made by the evil one. And Simon the Magus was one of the first Gnostics. There may have been Gnostics prior to Simon the Magus, such as Greek philosophers, other such people, but Simon the Magus was the first Gnostic we know of. Well, he may have been one of the first Gnostics. So yeah, if you want to watch it, don't get into Gnosticism. It's a cult. It's not good. And yeah,